Welcome, Mere Mortalites, to another round of the Mere Mortals Meanderings. You've got Kyron here on this side of the world.
You've got Juan on the other side too.
And we are here live on the 4th of the 5th, 2024. So may the 4th be with you, Juan.
And we're straddling dates.
Yeah, a Meanderings episode is where we're kind of like loose form. There's no particular topic for today. I've got some notes, some developments indeed. Juan probably also has some notes and developments from interesting things going on over on his side. And I wanted to ask him because today is indeed the day, the big day, Big V's birthday, because she is now officially 1 year old. Juan, you've got a 1 year old girl. That's amazing, man. Congrats. How's 1 year of parent life been?
I think it's the often quoted but very applicable thing where it's the days are long, but the years are short. So it kind of feels like the year, man, went so quick. Like we were reflecting back on a few drinks later last night and going through photos and everything like that, and we're going like, wow, man, I went through it so quick, and oh yeah, this happened, and we did this, and oh my god, we made it happen, blah 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 blah. But then still, you then recognize that the days, man, feel so long, even to the point of, say, last night, clear example. So, everything good that comes with parenting, awesome. But then, going into her, so yesterday was her birthday party, today's her actual birthday. And of course, she couldn't, go into her being 1 year old without doing one final of her usual terrible sleeping pattern. So last night, and she had a big party and didn't really sleep that well yesterday. So her sleeping pattern last night was that she woke up she went down at 6:30 or 6:20. Between that to about 8 or 9 o'clock, she woke up 5 or 6 times.
Nice.
And then another time at 10, then at midnight, then at 2 a.m. And then that was it. I shouldn't go back down after that. So that
pretty decent sleep.
I was like, man, it makes the days exceptionally long, but the year feels really short. So overall, man, it was good. Like, it was good to get together. And I mean, recognizing that things just go, it just goes even quicker from now on. To be fair, it's one of those that I don't know. A lot of people use, I think they need meditation or some other practices for kind of be mindful of where you're at. And I think for me, that has always been gym going and fitness to a large part, unless I'm really not feeling it. So again, another example, yesterday, I wanted to do some training in the morning, and we can save maybe some of the fitness a little bit later, but man, it was just so woeful. And so I couldn't get myself in the moment, right? Mine was just going elsewhere. But it is true to see, I think, the whole time with V, and I'm sure it'll continue, that when I'm with her, it's really easy to be in the moment. Like, it's supremely easy. I think I thought, honestly, if I had to really think about it, I'd go, I've had maybe some problems in the past when I'm with family, I'm with my partner or something, and my mind's just going a million miles an hour trying to think of other things to do. And I thought, okay, I want to improve that, so it's really good when I'm with V. That hasn't proved to be the case. It just seems by default I can just get in the moment with her really, really easy. So, man, overall, it's been a good year. It's been a good year.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that, man. Yeah, we'll definitely get onto the fitness stuff at the end, because I've got a win that's worthy of celebrating. It's funny you mentioned the getting in the moment sort of thing, because I think I have now officially been in Brazil for a month. I arrived on the 4th of April.
Wow, that went quick.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's a very similar thing for me, where it's like, oh, damn, this is a full month that's just gone by really quickly. And yet the days, I could also say, yeah, you know what? That was a long day, man. I was, the other day, for example, yesterday, I was on my feet for a long time, because I went to the center of Londrina for the first time, so I probably walked around there for, 3-ish hours. Man, this is one thing I forgot that Latin America has. The place I went was, I still don't know how to pronounce it and how it's spelled. It's something called like Camelo. And Lucas was dropping his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mum off and to the bus stop in Londrina, and then they were going out, and I'm like, oh, take me along with you. I'll say goodbye, and then you can drop me off in the center because it's right nearby. And so I get there, and one of the things have been planning to do for a while is to actually buy some shirts. Because I was like, I'll get like, the classic Brazilian shirt to add to my collection from a lot of the other countries. My brother also was saying that he wanted one, so I'm like, all right, I'll go do this. And walking around, it's really hard to find a store which has merch, not even the legit stuff, like the illegitimate stuff. It was really hard to find. I went to a couple of secondhand stores, and they had bits and bobs. I'd find a shirt, but it'd be too small, it'd be too large, it'd be too crappy or something. And then I finally got 2 recommendations in a row of, they're like, yeah, go to this place called Camelo, and Lucas in the chat writes Camelodromo, and I'm like,
Camelodromo.
I was like, okay, how do I type this in? They're like, no, you can't really type it into a map. You have to just go down these blocks 5 ways this way, and then you'll find it. And I was thinking, like, is this a store? Because they wouldn't really explain it properly. I found another place,
like,
and they're also like, it's like all signs point this one direction. Just go this way, go this way. So I eventually end up walking down, and I find this. I go where I'm meant to be. I'm on the street. I'm looking around. There's nothing standing out. So I'm just like, these people are just full of shit. They're not helpful. And I just keep doing my thing. I walk past another store. I'm like, I might check out this one. I'll walk to the end just to make sure. And then as I was walking past this place, it was basically, if you remember cinemas back in the day, they used to have this kind of like big ramp up, or at least the one in the Hyperdome did, or a lot of them did, where it would be like just a very slightly inclined ramp up. Yep. I imagine this was for accessibility reasons. That's probably one of the reasons, I imagine. And just they needed lots of space for like super crowded releases of films and things like this. And it was kind of like that. It was just this slow ramp up into this area. I'm like, oh, okay. And it was inside of this building complex. I'm like, oh, okay. I walk in, and it's just an absolute maze of shops. It's basically, divide a 3-story Maya center into compartments of maybe the size of this room. So like 3 meters by 2 meters by 3 meters high. And that's what this place is. It's just full of these tiny little nooks and crannies of everything. They have everything there. And they had a lot of shirts there. I probably walked past 15 different stores which sold Brazilian shirts. So I did find the Camelodromo. And I have seen...
Was it worthy of finding?
Yeah, definitely, man. It's just you're never going to find anything like this in Australia. Health and safety regulations out the window. I don't know how people get merch in or out. It must be so highly inefficient and breaking all of the codes of safety, of proper planning and things like this. The amount of inauthentic, just secondhand rip-offs, knockoffs of everything you could want there. It's just like, this is Brazil. This is the kind of crazy stuff where, it's mostly like Australia, and then you'll find places like this where you're like, oh, okay, no, we would not have anything even close to this.
It's it's an interesting one that where, if you've never kind of gone out of Australia and you've never experienced that, if someone told you it, like, oh, they do this and they do that, you'd almost, you couldn't, maybe conceptualize is the wrong word, but you couldn't put it in your mind that could exist because your foundation of how something has been built up or how a shop has to be done. I was like, well, but where's the regulation for this? Or how would they do that? And it's like, no, you don't get it. It's like when you go to these places, it's they just do it. Like, that's just what happens.
I imagine going to an Egyptian bazaar or one of those ones in, I think it's Thailand or Vietnam, where they built right next to a train line, and so everyone has to pack their shop up as the train comes through, and then as soon as it comes as finished passing through, all the awnings come back down again. All that stuff where it's just like, you're trying to explain that, but you really do need a video or something different to do that. Pretty cute girl in one of those as well. She was like authentic Brazilian from like outside of the kind of rich area, and I was chatting with her for a bit, which was pretty cool. But yeah, getting onto the living in the moment. when I hang out with Lucas, it's really nice because it kind of takes me back to when we were training together in Brisbane, and we had our routine of we'd go out to the South Bank and we'd just be out by the river, and it takes where we parked, it would take a decent walking time just to get into the place. Then we'd faff around, we'd warm up, we'd stretch, then we'd probably do like 2 hours of actual work, and then we'd just do it all again, warm down, faff around, go back, maybe grab something to eat. And it's in the kind of like faffing around where you're just enjoying the moment. You're appreciating it. And then what will take me out of the moment is fucking bugs, man. These little pieces of shit just constantly get me. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, where there's one thing I cannot meditate through, and that is ants crawling on me or bugs crawling on me. It is infuriating. It's my one and only weakness, I swear. And man, the bugs here are off chops. And before I arrived in Brazil, I didn't know there was, an outbreak, a plague of dengue going around as well. So I've had to be, stocking up on the repellente, the repellent. And when I came here, I brought 1 kilo of Tim Tams. And I'll talk about some news slightly in a minute. But coming back, I would bring 1 kilo of repellent, of mosquito repellent, and I could probably sell it and make a decent fortune from that.
Like a good amount of money. Wow. Just quickly on the same thing with the animals. So I might tell the story a little bit later of building of sand pits, but I was building a sand pit just yesterday, and what was it? Like a little slug worm thing fell on my back. I couldn't reach it because right at the point where I couldn't reach it at the middle of my back, and that was driving me insane.
Classic muscle man. Do you know what they call muscle men here in Brazil? It's my favorite. It's my favorite Portuguese word. Bombadão. You're a bombadão, man.
Bombadão.
Bombadão. Yeah,
that's
man.
Good.
It describes, the way it sounds is what it describes. You're
exactly.
You're a bombadão.
Yeah, I like it. That's very good.
Lucas in the chat is saying how it's so funny how I get mad so easily, and it's true, man. Just a couple of bugs and it can really take me out.
It's all over.
What will get me back into the mood, is lying down and just staring up at the sky. I think that's probably the if you ever feel like you're in the life's going too fast or you can't get in the moment or something like that, I think lying down and just staring up at the sky is a pretty surefire way to just get you to chill out a little bit and appreciate the moment. So I did that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is nice. And then the bugs got me on me again, and I was like, fuck this, got to move around, get these little shits off.
You got to levitate.
yeah.
Even then, you get the flies and shit like that.
Exactly. I think I hinted at it just then, so I'll bring up my news. Mum has had a fall in the hospital. I got this text a couple of days ago from Dad, and has broken, I think it was C2, C3, 2 and 3 vertebrae on her neck. And this is not good at all. Not good. So apparently it's called a terminal event, basically meaning they were suggesting surgery perhaps, but just with her condition overall, it's not going to help anything. I'm trusting Dad and the doctors on this. I'm not, I've abdicated responsibility and being able to have any influence or sway on matters like that. But yeah, basically, the end is near, and so I've booked a flight back to Australia, so I'll be flying back tomorrow. So the next podcast we'll actually do together again, I imagine. And yeah, I'll just be staying there for the immediate future, which is probably going to just be Mum's passing away, funeral, and we'll see where that is, what time that is, and I would love to come back to Brazil and kind of continue on here, but yeah, just gotta see how all of that goes, which is
just see how the flow of life goes with that.
Yeah, you know what the funniest thing about all of this is, I haven't been as sad as I would have thought, especially when it's like, okay, this is kind of like the crunch time. Bad, the diagnosis is days, if not weeks, days probably, maybe weeks, and I've just been kind of reflecting on that, and it just hasn't hurt me as much as some of the other progressions, or what would you call it, declines that she's had. And for those who don't know, with Alzheimer's, it's usually relatively stable, and then it'll just be a sudden drop. It's not usually like a linear downwards. It's the drops can be rather sudden, and they can be very very kind of like require a lot of changes. So whether this be in behavior, whether this be in perception, whether this be in memory, all of those things can change. And I was just thinking, I was actually wondering this, just like typing into Google and going onto Reddit and places like that are kind of helpful. And there was this thing called ambiguous grief, which is what it was on like the dementia subreddit, and a lot of people were just saying, I lost my mom or my dad or my loved one a long time ago. They're still alive, but I've kind of lost them already. And the actual moment of passing, or like the lead up to passing, they didn't feel sad. They didn't feel anything really. It was kind of like just a numbness, maybe even some like, joy or relief that either their pain or your pain or everything like that is. Yeah. And well, I don't know. I'm going to talk to my brother and dad about this as well, just see how they're going, because obviously it's kind of hard to communicate whilst here. But I'm sure I'll be very sad on the actual time she passes, because that's the crunch moment. But it's also, I don't know. It's a very weird feeling at the moment.
Yeah, no, because I was going to say I can't remember why I was talking about this just recently. I think it was my partner with Jazz, but was saying something around, and again, this was from another time, of how when we go through life, our recognition of life is that, like V, she's had a birthday, you go from 1 to 2, and then for us, 30 to 31 to 32 to 33, right? You sort of, time passes and it is life continuing. But another way to actually look at it is, it's, you're kind of dying every day in another sense. Like looking at it the opposite way, it is just, you're just slowly dying to a point that you will die and a terminal thing will happen. And as you were sort of saying that, it kind of made me recognize that a lot of maybe the grief or the surprise or the fear that comes with the end is that it is unknown. It is so I give you the example, I guess, as a parent, it's sometimes the worry of, oh my God, what's going to happen to my child if X happens or this happens? Mm-hmm. Where in positions like this, it's known. And so there's a lot of grieving and sadness that already gets front loaded because it's already an expectation with a timeline to it. And now, I mean, as you're explaining it then, you've been given a prognosis of there's days or weeks, and you're making the move back for being here for a little while to go through that process. But the sadness, it's now there's certainty, and in certainty you remove a lot of the fear, you remove a lot of the anxiety, and it's more of, you can much quicker get to acceptance. Plus you've gone through a lot of the sadness in the past, but for sure I don't think it's going to change what happened at crunch time. You're right in that, but I think in knowing some things, it removes some of that maybe unexplained fear that you might have just because you don't know what's going to go on.
Yeah, I still when I wake up here, I kind of dread the first looking at my phone, because if I'm going to receive a WhatsApp message or something from the family, there's a decent chance, 1 in 3 chance, I guess, that it'll be right in the morning when I wake up, and would get the news like that way. So there's still some aspects of that, but it's that age-old debate, right? Of, if would you rather die from getting, it's not would you rather die, what would you rather for your family, you dying from cancer or you dying from a sudden unexplained plane crash or car crash or something like that. And it's like, well, both are pretty shit. And it's just how would they respond to it? How would and I think, I don't know, I've never had a sudden passing away of a loved one, so I can't comment on that. But I imagine it's just hard in a different way. You know, it's the even though you can know certain things, the how you imagine it might fold out over time or progress over time is radically different to what actually happens or things like
what
that.
actually happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Should we go on to some lighter topics on Boostagram?
I think we will. But yeah, I was going to quickly. I'm going to give you a lighter one, folks.
Sure.
Maybe of just some frustration, and then we'll get into the Boostagrams.
Classic.
So
Who screwed up your pizza order this week, man? Call them out.
It wasn't a pizza order this time. It was a sandpit. It was a sandpit. So we purchased a sandpit a few weeks ago from Bunnings. So I'm going to call them out. Bunnings, which is the big hardware store here in Australia. And it was in the shape of a boat. So maybe I should have known already at that first initial point that there was going to be some problems. Now, this thing was so complex to build. We had 3 adults doing this all at the same time, holding pieces to make it together. This is maybe a week ago that we're doing it. And we're trying to put it together. Took us maybe over 2.5 hours to put it all together. And the only bit that was missing was like a few little things because it started raining at that time. So we're like, cool, we'll pause it. Now, the day before Vienna's birthday party, we're like, okay, we want to finish this. It's ready for her, fill it with sand for her birthday. Lo and behold, putting on the final pieces, they did not line up. They didn't cut the wood properly, and it did not fit at all. And we were like, damn. So I ended up having to go to Bunnings yesterday morning to return it, to get a new sandpit. This time I made the decision of going for a square one that had less issues, but it still took me like hours to put it together. It's still not even finished. So my little learning here, folks, on complexities when it comes to things like a kit sandpit or other things. Keep it simpler. If you're thinking of a boat shape or a star shape or something, I think the initial idea feels like it would be a really cool thing, but for the stress and for the annoyance and everything, from now on I'm like, just stick to the easy shapes, square, triangle, whatever. Man, just forget this complex looking thing.
That is home decor to a T for me, and why I definitely need to find a girl who can like put her foot down and be like, no, we're getting the useless inconvenient thing because it looks pretty, and that's the way it goes. The apartment I'm in now, Yara has just like lots of greenery. She's got pot plants with vines and all sorts of different plants and things like that. And they're fine. They don't really do anything. They require watering, and she's watered them, so that's great. But man, just the amount of like droppings that come from them over a week period, and just like general things like that, it'd be like, oh my god, me personally, I wouldn't be able to justify it. But if someone else is there or is forcing me to do it, and I love it. Like her place is pretty, and it's got a nice vibe to it, and it's one of those ones where I could never justify it myself, but I kind of need someone to help me justify it, because otherwise I'll end up in one of those, how you've seen those memes where it's like, how can men live like this? And it's just like a mattress on the floor with a TV on a box, one plate, one bowl, one spoon, that kind of life. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
It's fine. We can do all this. Yeah. Well, we've done this before, me and Karen, when we used to live together. We've lived a very, 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 very frugal furniture life. I guess.
Spartan life.
We didn't have a couch for a really long time. We didn't have anything downstairs. We didn't even use downstairs. It was just like nuts. We just had a table and 2 chairs. That was it.
Yeah,
exactly. There was no TV. There was nothing. So yeah, similarly, my partner, she does that exactly for me. We have you haven't seen this, but we have a table. sort of side table, then I would have just been like, what? But again, what you need them for.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. That's great. I love that, man. All right. No boat shapes, sandpits for me.
No boat shape sandpits, folks. All right, let's do some Boostagrams. Karen, tell the folks why Boostagrams are important for us.
For sure. So for those who are unaware, tuning into the Mere Mortals for the first time, perhaps, a Boostagram is where we call out people who are helping to support the show. So we don't run advertising on here, so you're never going to get any interruptive things on there. We don't have any sponsors or anything like that, because we want to keep the show as free and open as possible, give you all of our thoughts. And honestly, I think the show format works better without these things. No one wants to admit it, but the ads and sponsorships they don't make for a better show. It's not like your show is better when you have those in. So we actually like to just get support directly from our audience. This is how we pay for all of the various things. My flight tickets coming back. No, pay for our hosting, which we've actually gotten down to pretty cheap at the moment. It's pretty. It's not the cheapest we've ever had, just because general inflation and places like Adobe jacking up their prices, but it pays for those things. It helps us to continue, and it's also giving us some messages, which is attached with this support. So people who are really enjoying this, they do this directly within their podcasting apps in places like Fountain, in Curocaster, in TrueFans, in Podcast Guru. And we like to call out the people who have helped to support. If you go to meremortalspodcast.com/support, you can actually see all of those things there, how you can do it, and even a list, and you can actually get a shirt as well if you reach a certain level. So, Juan, who's helped to support us this week?
Thank you very much. So we have, let's go from the top, Broadreach Music.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Karen and Juan. Thank you for following us at True Fans. We can boost you there. Still waiting on an Albi tech support RE wallet malfunction. We, the band, Oslo Snowy, released 11 audio and companion videos on True Fans, hoping the videos will be a V milestone for us. However, it remains to be seen. Once again, thank you for following. Cheers, the Oslo crew. And that's 1,000 sats and using Fountain.
Yeah, so this is actually something I actually tuned into their music and listened to, I think all 11 of them. I'm just on True Fans. And this is one of those ones where it's like, I really want to support them. I just didn't like the singer, man. Like, the music was good. I liked the music. It was like acoustic, instrumental, but the singer's voice just didn't vibe with me. So, but no, it's.
Well, I was gonna say, what would you compare the singer's voice to?
I wouldn't even know how to. It's just,
okay.
I think you can kind of expect this from some V4V music. It's not the highest quality. You can hear a little bit of echo in the background. You can, because I was wearing headphones and actually properly listening into the music. So you can hear like just all of the things, and for whatever reason, I didn't like the singer. But what's really cool and what I really enjoyed that they reached out was, I've been doing this on True Fans, and I actually did this on Fountain once because I want to help these podcast apps out. If you've tuned into the Mere Mortals, I've had on a bunch of the developers before, and helping them out by using them, by playing around with them, by being able to give recommendations to our listeners as well, and say like, if you go onto these places, you'll get better experiences in certain ways. You will be able to see the chapter art. I'll put it in a meme of the Spartan lifestyle meme in the chapter art there, and I'll put in other photos and other things like that. And I've been doing this with True Fans and just adding basically new people who are joining the surface, just so like, if you join something for the first time and you're like, oh, we'll see what happens, and then maybe 2 or 3 days later you go back and like nothing's happened, it's kind of like, oh, no one uses this app. Whereas if they see someone followed them, that's kind of like a nice little, oh, someone followed me, that's cool, who is this person? So I've been doing that a lot, and I actually recommend that. I would recommend that to other podcasters. If I've probably got one of the bigger accounts on Fountain, so when I share something or post something,
you do. You do.
It's likely to have bigger reach. I wouldn't say it's guaranteed, but there certainly was a time period where if I posted something on there, I think it would reach a whole lot of people maybe in like, would you say an undeserving way, in the sense that I haven't actually built up 1,000 followers because they really want to follow me. It's because I was one of the only people following them. So they're like, oh, I'll click follow back. You know, that's that sort of thing.
I'll follow back.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it'd be undeserved. I think that's because
I put in the time and effort. The
exactly.
The
Just
reward
that's what
for
happens
being
when
early.
you're yeah, exactly. The reward for being early.
Yeah. So I've been doing that on True Fans as well. So, thanks. I mean, obviously, thanks for them for supporting out, and that's a cool way for them to get some airtime for people to tune in as well.
Yeah. The other ones, we had a couple of just ones from ourselves coming in, just from True Fans.
Yeah, I was checking something out. Yeah.
And then we've got one from Cole McCormick. I need some more undies now. 222 sats on YouTube found.
I'm pretty sure he said mere undies now, didn't he? I need some mere undies.
Yes, some mere undies. Sorry, some mere undies.
Yeah, so that's the Mere Mortals undies. So what I was thinking of doing is like, you know, if I get to the States and I meet him, I'd just give him like a pair of my dirty old ones. maybe like sign them with a pen or something, you know.
Damn, Carl, I don't know if you're gonna want those
authentic stains and all.
Damn.
One, just
Carl, I think
you sure you want
Carl's
that?
like,
you sure?
Nah,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. No.
Well, you got to get the OG pair. It's going to be it's like a trial run. If he likes them, then people would definitely like some clean undies.
But you know what would be funny, man? If like 10 people boosted in and said, I want undies, I think we'd have to do it, man. I think we'd have to create it.
Is this like a case, you know, where there's like I can't remember who it was, maybe Belle Delphine or something, where they packaged up their bathwater?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, maybe this can be the Mere Mortals equivalent. We'll send you all of our underwear as it's finally put to bed.
Yeah, when it gets too holy.
Nice.
Nice.
Probably going to do it. But yeah, so Cole, thank you very much for that.
Road
2's 226, that's it.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Cole.
And there.
Yep.
Yeah, so in any case, yeah, that support does help us out, folks. And as Karen correctly pointed out last week, Boostagrams is a way for you to send through some Satoshis and you can put a comment attached to it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There's obviously ways that you can stream through if you're listening to the podcast on those good podcast apps out there. And that all sort of comes through and we summarize it and use it up as we talk about to support the podcast.
Definitely. Yeah. Just a whole lot of appreciation to everyone who helps to make this podcast run, keep it going. And very, very grateful, even for the ones who do it anonymously or who, just only like to stream in. We do see it and we do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Karen, I think you got to tell me about the being uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
The desire to move away from being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I was at the just where we normally train with Lucas, and I've mentioned this before. I was going to take a video at some point. I probably should have done it the other day, where this bar is right next to the kind of like calisthenics park / old people's park, where they've got the like wheels and rotating things, and you can put your legs back and forth, all that sort of shit. And it was their Labor Day here, Dia de Trabalhadores, something like that. So, but they don't, Cinco de Mayo. Normally, people celebrate this on today in Brisbane, but they actually had it on the 1st of May instead. And so that was a Wednesday. So we were just training there, and then there was just like a lot of people there drinking on this Wednesday. And man, there was some cute girls there as well, like really cute girls. And we're just hanging out. We're doing our thing, but like we're shirtless. We're doing handstands. You get some attention from people looking in and things like that. And I was totally fine just on my own. But then Lucas left and another friend, Crespo, who we've been all hanging out together and getting some PBs. I'll talk about that shortly. And when they left, that was when I started to get like just really self-conscious. I was like, oh, like when I was there with people, it kind of made sense in a way. And then it felt like, even though I'm just training, I'm doing my normal thing, exactly how I was doing it before they left. When they left, I started to be like, oh, like this just starting to feel weird. Like I don't actually enjoy being here. I don't actually like having people looking at me, or even if they weren't looking at me, the thought that they were looking, and sometimes they do.
Wait, but would this be the equivalent thing that would also happen if you're in Australia?
Kind of, yes. And so this is what I was gonna get to. as I was walking home, I was kind of reflecting on my discomfort then, and I was trying to pinpoint exactly what it was, because I've had this feeling before. I've talked about this a lot of times. It used to be a lot worse, and it used to be all the time. I would get this in all situations. I would feel it when I was on the bus while I was traveling to university. I'd feel it while I was walking around university. If I was in Queen Street Mall, it would be even worse. There was something about crowds of people, lots of people being somewhere, and me being on my own. And then I thought, wait, is it actually just me being on my own? Because I remember actually feeling like this when I had a girlfriend, for example, and I'd be in like a bar, and I would still have this kind of same sort of feeling of like this discomfort of just like, oh, like, are these people looking at me? Why, like, and it didn't have to have any real world verification either. I didn't actually have to glance and see other people making eye contact with me or anything like this. It was just this feeling. And harkening back to last week or the week before, when Peter and was talking about how his general like strategy, or if he's like, he's single and he's, looking to mingle, he'll make eye contact with the girl and, maybe smile at her and things like this. And I was just, I tried doing that, man, and it just makes me uncomfortable, man. And so I was reflecting on all of this, and I'm like, okay, what could I do about this? I could go out to bars. I mentioned this recently, like, I might go out to a bar at some time and see the nightlife, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'd have to go out to it at 10 p.m. And I just, it's one of those ones where it is a fear, or fear is a strong word. It is discomfort. It's a lot of discomfort. I'm pretty sure I could kind of conquer it in some sort of way, and whether it be psychologically, whether it just be doing enough reps, doing the reps of going to bars and drinking and trying to have fun. Over it. If that does not describe me, I don't know what does. Like, I have to do the reps to have fun. But I was just reflecting on all of this, and I'm like, but you don't need to, Kyron. Yesterday, when I went out to the center and I was walking around, and so, just imagine the equivalent of walking around the center of your city, the main plaza, the main square. It's got shops there. There's lots of people. There's a mix of workers. There's a mix of, sales staff. There's mix of shoppers, all of this sort of stuff. And as I was walking along there, two pretty girls were coming along, and I played my part to the perfection of the Lost Gringo. And I'm like, oh, excuse me, what's there to do in here? Is there, like, I'm new to the city. Is there anything around here? Is there like a cathedral? And man, they fucking gobbled it up. You should have seen the reaction of these two girls. They loved it. And they're like, oh my God, where are you from? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And how long have you been here? They were just all over it. And I ended up, grabbing their numbers. We talked for, 15, 20 minutes. I was talking about how, like, making jokes. I'm the Lost Gringo. Please don't take advantage of me. Things like this. And I did the equivalent of like what I would maybe want to be doing at a bar, which is getting a girl's number in the chance of, like, organizing a date, meeting with her in the future and something like that. And I just went, I don't need to do this. Like, I do not need to go through these uncomfortable periods. And you know what? I probably, it might, as much as I hate not doing reps, it probably would have been better to just call it quits when Lucas and Crespo called it quits and just have gone home. And that probably would have been better overall. So this is my strong argument here for why it's not worth doing some uncomfortable things. One, respond. I know, because when I wrote that title, I was like, I know Juan's not gonna like this.
Yeah, no, I look. I won't be. I don't think I've ever been 100% where it's you should always do uncomfortable things. I think that there's some uncomfortable things that you don't really need to do. I'm sure we could think of some of you, but even the example you give there, for me, I'm like, no, I think that fundamentally there would be some benefit hidden amongst the negative feeling of continuing that. In fitness, I can't even remember what it was, what the actual name of the thing in the brain was, but it's something that I've only just started to hear kind of recently. And okay, the way I would summarize it is when you do something that you don't want to do, in essence, like you truly don't want to do, it does help build up that resiliency or that aspect in your brain that then enables you to go and do more things that maybe at the forefront or at the face of it you don't want to do, and to pursue things. I think it's core in the other aspects like resiliency, in being anti-fragile, in all of that. But it has to have a purpose. I guess that's ultimately where I get to it with the outcome, right? Because if you are doing things that are unnecessarily difficult or unnecessarily putting you into a position that you feel uncomfortable and you don't want to do, and then there's no value that really affects your life, while I could make a case for why it might be beneficial, it's also unnecessary.
Yeah.
In your aspect of the story, I'd still say like, but Karen, it is necessary because you are going to be utilizing those tools and those connections. Yet, if you were, all of a sudden married with kids, I'd be like, cool, unnecessary. Unnecessary to that degree. Like, who absolutely gives a crap in that relation to like relationships? But like, then I go, aren't you going to be in another position when you're going to be on your own and you need to connect with somebody or do something that might seem unwise at the time to do it mentally, but you want to do it? I don't know. Here's my other extrapolation. I don't know if it maps exactly with what you're saying here, but I was thinking, let's just imagine my daughter when she's 5 or 6 years old, right? When kids really learn from what the parent's doing, right? They reenact, they look at what you're doing, and then they'll go and repeat, right? They'll go and rhyme what you're doing. And I often think, if I all of a sudden became this little bit sheltered, or I don't, I showcase some uncomfortableness in being out in public, or in a very, maybe I already do, but if I let that be the thing, like, okay, you know what, I'm going to pack up and I'm going to go. Like, I'm not going to do this. And that is then the lesson that is being picked up. It's like, no. When that happens, you got to kind of you got to be uncomfortable and move away from it. I kind of go in a silly way. I go, I still want to be able to, let's just say, dance on the street, even though it seems silly and it's probably really uncomfortable. And maybe there's no benefit. But if the benefit for at least that example to a child, it's, hey, you don't have to let something like your own mental aspect of not wanting to do something stop you to do it. Within reason, folks. Yeah, we're not being stupid and silly here. So I would say, no, not everything that's, that you shouldn't be doing absolutely everything. There's obvious limitations to it. But in that regard to your story, I'd say, you should have hang on to that little feeling and be like, you know what? I'm gonna sit on this here for a little bit longer.
Yeah. So the caveat to this is, and I think just as you're talking, helped me nail it down a bit. It really is this aspect of the being the center of attention. Those times when I felt uncomfortable when I was out with a girlfriend, for example, was not when we're at a restaurant. It would be when we're in a club and we're in sitting in the VIP section or something like that. It was not when I'm on my own and I was at like Joey's wedding, for example, or where I didn't have a significant partner. Obviously I was with you and Joey and friends and family, friends of family, known people, things like that. I didn't feel it, I think, at all during that entire trip. So it's this aspect, and that's because, obviously the center of attention is definitely not on me. It's on the bride and groom. So I think it's this aspect of where, and then the adding on top of that would be, even though I'm not the center of attention, if I'm just like a random guy in a bar or a club, it feels like if I'm going up to a girl to talk or something like that, for me it feels like, oh shit, like this guy's gonna make a move, like let's watch and see him either succeed or fail.
What's gonna happen? Yeah,
exactly. And I would know this because I also like to people watch, and so if I see someone like doing an approach or going to do something interesting, or there was this couple fighting just the other day, middle of the day, drinking straight from the whiskey bottle, and the whiskey bottle was pretty much empty, and she kept on saying like "Fala agora," which means like talk now, speak now. And she just kept yelling it at this dude in the middle of like the daytime. It was rather amusing to watch. And those sorts of things is where it's like, okay, fast forward 20 years, I've got wife, got kids who I want to be setting a good impression for. And it's like an award ceremony, or a situation where it's like we're at the beach and we're filming something, or I don't know. That's one of those situations where it's like I wouldn't want to be showing my discomfort, leaving an event early because I'm uncomfortable, or even though I feel like I'm still the same person. Everyone tells me like they can read my face so easily. If I'm unhappy, if I'm pensive, if I'm thinking about something, if I'm uncomfortable, even though I feel like I'm still acting the same, like it just shows up in everything. And that's not the sort of thing I would want to, pass on to a 1-year-old child or a 5-year-old child or whatever. So that's kind of like where I was thinking like, in those situations, especially if it's, I don't want to make other people unhappy because I'm uncomfortable, which has happened before. There's been situations where I've been at events or parties or something and we've left early because, I was like, I don't really want to be here. And it was because of this feeling, not because it was late or because insert whatever other reason.
But would you say then in saying all that, it's not, is it something you want to change, or it's something that like, yeah, okay, I see that and that's okay. That's like,
yeah, that's more like future problem, which if I realize it's, if I realize it's a problem in 5 years down the track, like it's the only thing that's affecting me now is, like I said, maybe I wouldn't have got as many reps in as I wanted to. I wouldn't have finished off the rest of my workout, which to be honest, it was kind of crap anyway. Yeah, I was right at the end, and I was absolutely like buggered tired. There wasn't a whole lot of like quality repetitions going on.
Right, okay. Because actually, that's a good call out. Just quickly, because if you had said that you had like a lot of your workout and you kind of cut it, if like you were prepared to do that, I'd be like, damn, okay, that's a pretty big thing. But if if you were like pretty spent and you'd gone mow through it, then okay, I could see that happening.
Yeah. I'm becoming more, a little bit more casual, not casual, but accepting of, okay, if I don't do this work right now, can I catch it up? Is it actually going to be that big of a problem? And I guess this transitions really nicely onto the fitness stuff. So I've got a big news. I've finally gotten the STALDER.
Boy!
Let's go.
STALDER. Damn,
so
okay. When did that come about?
That came about yesterday, my friend. It was about a year and a half worth of effort, I would say.
Wow.
It's one of those ones where it's like, you say it's a year and a half worth of effort. I've been training things adjacent to this so that I could get this for a year and a half. Has it been my one core sole focus? No. It's been 30 to 40% of everything that I've been doing though. So, it's, 6 months of very intense effort. Let's put it that way. And yeah, man, it's so strange because it's like, I kind of promised myself when I came to Brazil, like I'm going to get this whilst I'm in Brazil. And then, I had to book the flights home rapidly. And I wasn't even thinking about it. But yesterday was the last day I was training the STALDER whilst I was still here. And, it was just a nice day. Lucas and I were chilling out. We're just goofing around. It was one of those ones where I'm like, I'm going to get out his GoPro just in case. And the first rep felt really good. And then we started like, hyping each other up, or he was hyping me up. And he's like, you're going to get it on the 4th. And I got it on the 2nd, and it was shit. It was crappy. Like it didn't look good. I ended up getting 2 more. And the last one actually was relatively clean. I got up, straddle, legs were only shaking a little bit. did the rep down as well. So yeah, just a nice big win for me for something that I suck at, which is strength. Like you need a lot of shoulder strength for that, and I've obviously gotten that strength now. So big win for me. Really, really happy.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, okay. Because I remember, I mean, seeing you practice STALDER press even like years ago. Like
I might have
positioning and
I might
holds
have
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like you work on other things, but it helps this as well. So in terms of drills wise, you know, it's really focusing on this one thing. It's been a year and a half, but you know, it's like Lucas in the chat. It's like STALDER, bro. I saw that thing, and I remember watching Daniel Vadnal, Fitness FAQ. He was probably one of the first calisthenic YouTubers I ever watched, and I remember, you know, as he was releasing new videos, his videos were, you know, I got my first STALDER, or like I'm training for the STALDER, and I remember seeing that and being like, that's impossible. I'll never be able to do that. And
yeah, one of those things where it's like, wow, that is so like I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And what's also reminded me of that is Crespo, who Lucas is training. He's older than us. I think he's mid-40s. He's had, you know, some surgery recently. He used to be really fit, doing like, I think he's done a couple of Ironmans, used to do triathlons and marathons just for fun, from what I can gather. And he's learning handstands, and he got his 7 seconds the other day. And it was just kind of like watching him getting this kind of like monumental thing where it's like he actually yelled while he was up there. He's like, oh, ah! And you know, watching that is just like, damn, like that's awesome, because you know he's where I was so long ago, and you kind of forget about that. And you know, I'm also kind of on the cusp of starting to like try and throwing my arm out and just seeing if I can get some one arms for like actual one arm hold times. And yeah, it's like, I don't know, looking back at the past, reflecting, just being like, damn, that's so cool. Having more goals, being even more like ambitious, and being like, I want the one arm. I want, you know, like really clean muscle ups. You know, it's all of these things where it's just, it's good to reflect sometimes and be like, damn, come a long way.
Damn. Okay. Well, so it sounds like your fitness has been going strong, at least in finishing off at the moment in Brazil, which has been good.
It's been really good.
Dude, mine's been kind of the opposite. So here's a couple of things. So one, I've made the call actually basically from today onwards. So I was doing my Olympic training phase, and I'm going to cut that short. Except I think I'd gone, technically it's been 9 weeks, but I'd say that I've done 8 weeks, because 1 week was completely off, just sickness. And yeah, man, I think it's just with other things that I've been doing, like my other training, it's just been too much. So to give people some guidance of what that looks like, you know, when you do squats, right, you do some leg workout, and you'd have DOMs for 3 days or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily the DOMs that I'm getting, but it is the fatigue in, say, the legs. And with the type of training I was trying to do, I'm basically hitting legs every day, and it's too much, to the point of it's not DOMs, it's literal fatigue, which I could see becoming injury in the long term.
Yeah.
So earlier in the week, I was whatever workout I was doing, and it actually got to the point that my legs felt weak, but my like right knee was starting to give way, and not in like this is sore, but like it's just lost all of its strength in it. Yeah. I'm like, this is not good. The other thing that I found as well was over the weeks that have gone by, you know, I've been specifically focusing on Olympic lifting, but doing a little bit of everything else on the side anyways. And there was just coincidentally, like trying to max out on Olympic type lifting as part of the other program that I've still been following. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a go while I've been doing this. You know, I've been improving and whatnot. How much more of an improvement do you think I hit on my maxes?
Mm-hmm. You've
declined. You could say in kilos or percentages. Well, almost on one of them, it's like slightly declined, and then the other one, it's like very, 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 very slightly better. But after 8 weeks of doing it, I was like, damn, that's ridiculous. Interestingly enough, what has happened is, kind of reflecting back on it, yeah, I've gotten much better at performing higher weights more consistently, maybe for higher reps. So direct numbers, let's just say with snatch. Before, if my max was hitting 90, 95 kilos, I was able to do maybe a rep at 80 and like a rep at 90, but I wasn't able to like rep 80 for much more than that. Like that was it. Now, I guess more, the reps I can do much more at 80. I can do like 10 or 12, not in a row, but like pause, reset, go again, pause, reset, go again. And it doesn't feel too like destroying. So that is, I've gotten better at that near 80% maximal range, but up at the 100%, no, it has like almost been no progress. And I think it's because of that continuous fatigue. So yep, I'm just pulling that back, and I'm going to begin the, what I'm calling the calisthenics / more running kind of small phase starting straight away. So I was like, cool, I'm excited for that. That's going to be good. But then, and here's the little inconsequential thing. So my training over the week as well has been terrible. Okay, partly I'd say it's the fatigue in the legs. Definitely partly it's to do with terrible sleep, because once again, sleep has just been out of the window. But what's been the biggest thing, Karen? What's been that biggest thing that has caused me mayhem and destruction and terrible training sessions?
Oh,
you won't guess it. It has been.
I was gonna guess you've like developed an allergy or something to milk, or you've become lactose intolerant. I don't know.
No, it has been on Tuesday. I stepped outside into my backyard and I stepped on a little rock. And this little rock, I stepped on it at just a walking pace, right? And I was carrying
Such
I stepped on it. I was like, ow, man, that really hurt. Threw away the little rock, thinking nothing of it. My foot has been in constant pain since that. And it didn't, perforate my skin or anything, but it must have done something to like the muscle fascia at the bottom of your foot.
Was this the dodgy foot?
Even now.
From 2 weeks ago?
No, this is the other foot.
Bruh, you're old as fuck.
Now, exactly. So I was like, dude, this rock has all of a sudden, and even now, so if I squeeze my left foot down to when you like contract your toes, it like sends massive shooting pain through my leg. I was like, damn, what have I done? So yesterday I was supposed to go for, it was morning. Once again, I slept in, like my alarm didn't go off, so I slept in. I had minimal time. I didn't get to go to the run club that we usually go to. I was like, oh, do I run or do I go for a gym session? I could kind of do either, but I really didn't want to do gym. Like I was just so fatigued and tired. So I was like, okay, look, I'll get out there. I'll do a bit of a run, just something. I got to go over that way anyways to go and get the damn sandpit. And I ended up I got to 2 kilometers, dude, and I was just spent. Both my legs were just fatigued. My feet were so sore, and I didn't even train the day before. So I was like, okay, that's it. I need to just put a stop to all of this extra volume, I guess, that I'm doing. And thankfully, the foot is getting better. But man, it's the little things that just mess you up. So I was like, God damn it. God damn rock.
Yeah, man. That's life, hey. That's
how it works, hey?
That is I suppose just learning how to adapt to these things as well. Watching Lucas train has been interesting because he takes things a bit more casually than I do. In the sense that he says he has a plan for each day, but I think he listens to his body. He's one of those like listen to your body people. With other handstand people I've been training with, and honestly most circus people who I've kind of met, they're all more into the, I felt this thing, I thought of this thing, I focused on my leg when I was in that rep, and they can really distinguish between one rep and the other. And I'm just like, like dumb monkey, man do handstand, man put leg here. That's how I feel. I'm 100%, just do the rep sort of guy. And the watching him train's be interesting because he'll be like, today I think I'll do this. I'm feeling something in my shoulder, so I'm gonna do less volume, or I'm gonna do this or gonna do that. Whereas me, classic me is just I've got my book.
I've got my plan. That's what I'm doing.
I've got my plan. These are the reps. The reps are usually that they're kind of ambiguous in the sense of I'd like to get this much, I'd like to improve over the last week or something like that, but it's I'm not usually aiming for something. I'm usually just like, you have to do all of this today, go do it. And some days will be really good, some days will be kind of crap, some days will be really, really good, like the other day, and then some days will be really, really crap. But mostly they hover around like, yeah, it was okay. You know, I went and did the reps. That's what I feel like most of the days when I come out. So yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting watching him and going, you know, maybe this, I don't think it will work for me, but maybe I've always had this sort of, I could kind of put in a play day, or it's just like a day where this would be nice if I get it done. And yeah, knowing myself, it doesn't really work like that. I never am able to chill out. It's like, if I have to have a rest day, it's a planned rest day, you know? It's not like, no, I can feel how on the day I'll feel this or not. Nah, it's like, everything needs to be planned in. Yeah.
I would say I do enjoy the loose goose style training for sometimes. They're not often, because I think that there's a large part to driving me to do the thing when it's really nicely planned out. However, there are certain, like I'd probably say a handful of times when maybe just going in and saying, I'm going to do an arm day, I'm going to do a back day, I'm going to go for a run and not sure how long I'm going to run. There's some of those that are kind of enjoyable, but I would say, at least for me, I've got to be almost in a predetermined, like, good mood for it. If I go in with a mindset where I'm tired, I've got other things to do, and I don't have a plan for it, that's when it's really easy. I actually remember it was years ago, I went into a gym to do an arm workout, and I've only ever enjoyed doing an arm workout maybe way back at the beginning of training. And honestly, after that, arm training became like a chore. Like, I actually didn't enjoy doing a lot of arm training. So this particular day I went in to do an arm training session without any plan, because I had something else that I had to do or something like that. And I remember doing like 2 sets of a particular movement and actually checking my watch, being like, okay, how long have I been here? And it was like 3.5 minutes. And I was like, damn, I can't leave until like probably like a good 40 minutes. But it was one of those workouts where I was checking the minutes, being like, oh, am I done yet? Am I done yet? And it just, it doesn't feel fun. But I think if at that moment I'd had like, okay, here's the plan, these things, do this and do that, at least it's almost I don't have to think about it. The motivation to do something can be replaced with the discipline of following a plan.
Yeah, for sure. When I first came here, the first 3 or 4 days, I chucked everything out the window. I was just like, if I get the chance to train at all, I'll do some. It's in one of the vlogs that Lucas created, and I was just literally just doing what he was doing. So we went to a movement gym. There was a guy there who was doing planche, so we did some planche and handstand. It was like, if I looked at it, I would spit. I would go, puh. That doesn't match this exercise. I was doing the easier things first and then the harder things later, completely opposite to what I should be, normally doing. I followed this workout by that workout. That makes no sense. Everything about it was wrong, but it was worth doing just because, I just arrived in a new country, and, I don't want to be, like I said, one of my goals this year was to just not be overly critical, overly analytical, overly routined whilst I'm in another country, another place. So, for example, I did a workout this morning from 9 until 11:30, with 45 minutes of that being a workout or just a warm up, and I skipped like half the workout. I just went like, oh, we don't have time. The reason we were doing it so early in the morning because we were getting feijoada again, so meeting some of Lucas's friends, hanging out with them, and just everything about this, well, not everything, but skipping a whole bunch, doing it in the morning, not focusing completely on it because his friends were there, so I was talking with people as well. But this was one of the times where I was like, okay, this can be my one day a week where if I don't get it, it's okay. So it is possible to do, but it's hard, man. It's hard. I'm fighting the demons of get every rep in, do it, prepare exactly how you want to prepare, do it at the time which makes best for you and things like this. It's like, nope, let's calm down. Well, there's other important things in life other than just training. But I
know there's people listening. I know there's people listening to us being like, "What the hell? Like, what? How is this a challenge?"
I mean, if they didn't anticipate this from my earlier section saying how I need to do the reps of going out to a bar to have fun, I don't know how I could prepare you more for how I operate and for how Juan operates as well. So, yeah,
this shouldn't be an unknown for me immortalized out there.
I don't think so. Oh, jeez. All right, Juan, you got anything else you want to call out? Anything interesting?
No, look, I think obviously, just as a call out for folks listening to this point, is that I'm not sure what time we will do the next following podcast, whether we do it.
I'm okay for Wednesday.
You're okay for Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we'll probably get back to that schedule of Wednesday. So that'll be cool. So be aware of that. We'll obviously keep you in tune with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
One quick thing is you would have seen in just the content that's being produced at the moment. I'm trying a few different things.
You've been doing some good stuff, man. Yeah.
You remember the quotes and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I started to do some of those quotes back again, just to see, again, playing around with things, leveraging our good old friend of ChatGPT to just help summarize a lot of the content that's being created as well. That's just in terms of creating that content and putting it out a little bit quicker. So that's been a bit fun. So just trying out different things just to see what works, what gets caught, what doesn't. I think at this point there's a bit of volume that we can provide again for people who are listening or watching the stuff that we put out. I'd be keen to hear from folks. Is it helpful? Does it help? Does it help you connect? I know you've mentioned in the past, Karen, as well, of people who've seen that have said, hey, it's a helpful reminder that you guys kind of exist. So, is it doing that more by sharing it more? Is it just annoying? Again, I kind of want to get some feedback around that as well for folks at home.
Definitely. Yeah. So value for value can do this many different ways through time, talent, and treasure. Time is just coming and joining us live like Lucas has done, and he was giving us some extra info. Crespo is 47. Juan, you're a strong as fuck, dude. You're a bombadon. And joining us live. So we join us in our Discord for the ping that goes out. I also put it out on Twitter as well, and we're semi-consistent, let's put it that way, with our time. When we switch, we usually stick with it for a little bit. Joining us,
it's not too bad.
Yeah, we're okay. So joining us live is really awesome. We love having you join us and in the chat, and commenting, liking, all of those sorts of things do help out in some shape and form as well. We love if you've got some talent. So if you've got any particular topics you want to talk about, if there's any, we didn't talk about books this week, but if there's any books you think that are worth talking about, you just read Arnold Schwarzenegger's, what's the title one?
Be Useful.
Be Useful. Are we useful? If we're not, tell us how we could be more useful. Things like that. And then finally, the treasure. As I mentioned, doing this through a podcasting app is the way that we really enjoy and ask that you do that. It takes a little bit of learning and time, but if you go onto Fountain or onto TrueFans, I think those are two of the easiest places you can do that. And, sending us an amount, however much you want, however much value you got from this podcast is very much appreciated. There's also links down below for a PayPal if you wanted to send one of those in. And I think that's it for this week.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to leave it there. Again, thank you very much for those who are tuning in. It'll be a joy, I think, next time. We'll probably do it in person.
We'll do it at your place.
Well. So
yep.
Yeah, because I'll have all the stuff set up in mind, and then that way we can swap out the things. I think for now, we're going to leave it there. I'm going to go celebrate my daughter's birthday.
Beautiful. Happy birthday to Vienna.
Thank you very much. Thank you. For everyone at home, thank you for tuning in. We'll leave it there. Me Immortalized Juan out.
Karen out. Bombadome.
Bombadome. Good.